Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we're playing something a little bit spicy. This deck came about because when this card, Baral and Kari Zev, was spoiled, I joked to my friend, oh, why don't you cast a Snuff Out and then do something really gross with it afterwards? Get a really cool free spell. And I ended up building this, right? This is the first draft, obviously. I haven't really had a lot of time to test it. But the plan is to use Kari Zev, and we're going to be casting things like Force of Will, Misdirection, and Snuff Out for effectively free. And then we get to cast 3 drops for free as well. And if that doesn't work, we can still get a 2-1 Pirate Monkey. So, not the worst. Now, interestingly, in the same set, there's a card that does a similar thing in terms of giving you value from playing free spells that actually have a high CMC. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be playing Chrome Host Seedshark. So when we cast a Force of Will, we're going to get a token with 5 +1/+1 counters on that we can turn into a creature. Pretty cool. It synergizes with the other things we're trying to do here. Just a little bit more information about this Kari Zev. I realised that you might not be familiar with this one. So it's First Strike, Menace, 2/4. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you may cast a spell with a lesser mana value that shares a card type with it from your hand, without paying its mana cost. Or you can make a 2/1 monkey. So that's kind of the whole fundamental purpose of the deck. And the 3 drops we're trying to cheat into play is a couple of, or trying to cheat onto the stack, I should say, because they have to be instants. So we've got a couple of Kolaghan's commands here. And then we also have some Archmage's charms. These cards are very flexible. So we can snuff out and counter a spell, or we can, draw some cards if we're casting off a Force of Will, or we can steal little permanents like Death Shadows and whatnot. So this is a pretty interesting one. Because this is blue, though, it does mean our mana base is all blue jewels and an island. Which means that we're a little bit weak to some stuff like Blood Moon, but we're going to address that in the sideboard, hopefully. So that's kind of like the main bulk of the deck, right? So we've got our Misdirection, we've got our Force of Wills, our Snuff Outs. So we've got all these free spells, and we're trying to play a 3-drop and then cast a free spell at the same time and get some value that way. Maybe not necessarily the most powerful thing you can be doing in Legacy, but it should be interesting, and I just wanted to give it a go. We also have, because we're playing all these instants, right? We're playing 4 Faerie Mastermind. That's a great thing to play. So we're holding up mana for like an Archmage's Charm. If they don't do anything, we can then flash in this Faerie Mastermind. So that synergizes quite well with what we're doing. We're blue deck, so we have Brainstorm and Ponders. The Ponder, unfortunately, doesn't get us to have any free things. One of my other thoughts when Baral and Kari Zev was spoiled was that if you had this and played something like a Ponder and had an Ancestral Visions in hand, you could just straight up cast that. Because it doesn't have a mana cost, you don't have to pay anything. Mana is 0, so you can just play that one for free and get a free Ancestral Recall. Maybe that's something we'll explore another day, but today the Ponder is just doing Ponder things. We also have 4 Lightning Bolts as a bit of removal to go alongside our Snuff Outs. So we got a little bit more room, and we chucked in some Murktide Regents. We need a creature that can actually end the game relatively quickly on its own, so we're just playing a card that is good, pitches to Force of Will. I went through quite a lot of different iterations of this build, ones with whole chains of different free spells getting to cast stuff underneath it. But I ended up settling on this one just to sort of have a bit of proof of concept and see how it works, really. As I said, mana base wise, we got all these dual lands, we got a whole bunch of fetches, and we got an island. So that's about it. We only have 9 lands to fetch, so we have more fetches than we have lands, but we're probably not going to get a situation where we go through more than 9 fetch lands, right? Okay, sideboard wise, I did say they were a bit cold to Blood Moon, so we're playing 3 Hydroblast. We can fetch our island pretty easily, all of our lands fetch island, so we can get an island in play and use that for the Hydroblast to blow up Blood Moons and stuff like that. On top of that, we've got some tools to blow up artifacts. We've got 2 Meltdowns and 2 Brotherhood's End. The reason for the split is that the Brotherhood's End also double up as sweeping a bunch of elves out of the way, which is quite nice. And dealing 3 damage is quite convenient when we have a 2/4 and a 2/4 here. So this lines up quite well with our own creatures. We've got a couple of Plague Engineer because we're in black, and I love having Plague Engineer. It just feels like you make some matchups quite easy whenever you play a Plague Engineer. So I like to have it. We're playing red, so we've got 3 Pyroblasts to force stuff through, to blow up Murktide Regents that our opponents have, because the rest of our removal, aside from Snuff Outs, can't really do much about that. We've got a couple of Graveyard Hate pieces in Circuit Extraction. Probably not enough, to be honest with you, but we had to skimp somewhere, right? And we're going to try and fight that matchup with a little bit of counter magic with Flusterstorms and our Force of Wills. So yeah, that's about it. This is also an instant, so we can play this for free if we cast Force of Will or something, although it's already a free spell, so it's probably not going to be doing very much in that front. And that's pretty much the deck. Do I think this deck is going to be good? No. Do I think we're going to have some really fun stuff to do with this deck? Oh yeah, we should have a few turns where we get to do some really fun stuff and our opponent goes, oh, that's pretty sweet. And that's what we're hoping for. It's more a case of seeing how this card feels in Legacy. I've not seen anyone playing with it yet, and I think it's got a little bit of potential. Being a 2/4 is kind of important, and the fact that you can then play things like Daze. So another build I had of this did have Dazes in, because if you play this and have a Daze up, you can then get a free instant off of it. But then what are you getting? Probably like a Brainstorm, maybe a Lightning Bolt. So I wanted to go a bit bigger and like this. I did even have a version with Pyrokinesis where we were trying to cast 5-drop instants for free the turn we play the Baral. But this is what we've settled on today. I think it should be relatively okay. We're playing a bunch of good cards alongside our slightly more squiffy cards. And that's usually the best way to try these new stuff out. All right. Before we jump into a league, please hit that like button. It really helps me out and boosts me in algorithms. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do that as well. All right, let's play some Legacy with... I haven't got a cool name for this one yet, but I'll hopefully think of one by the time I upload it. All right, let's get into it. All right, our opening hand, we have 2 different forms of interaction, and we have a threat. This seems all right to me. We'll give it a go. A basic island. A Mishra's Bauble. We could be looking at several different decks here. A second Mishra's Bauble. Okay, so I'm looking at 8 casts that just happen to draw its 1 basic island. We have a Lightning Bolt that we're going to fire off on this, so we don't want to burn our Force of Will. Alright. We will go and get ourselves a Volcanic. It's a bit awkward that we can't also hold up the Snuff Out here, but we'll do what we got to do. Let's Lightning Bolt this Emery away. We can't afford them to have all this card advantage. If they force here, I think we might even force back. Alright. It feels like our opponent is very much relying on this to do the things for them. So I think we will force their force, and we're going to pitch Baral here because I think I'd rather have the Faerie Mastermind against this deck with all these baubles and stuff. So probably going to be getting some free draws off of it. Alright, so our opponent's down to 1 card and baubles. They're probably going to crack these baubles, although that will take them off Metalcraft. So it's kind of a bit of a struggle either way for them. Alright. So our next turn is looking like a Faerie Mastermind with Snuff Out to go alongside it. But our opponent felt like I felt like our opponent really needed that Emery to stick around. So I'm pretty happy that we said no to that one. There's a bauble. Unless they cash it in right now, we should be able to get some Faerie Mastermind value. Alright. Blue and blue. Is this going to be a Chalice of the Void for 1? That's fine how we're set up here. We have main deck Kolaghan's Command, which can blow up artifacts as well. Let's crack this for an Underground Sea. If our opponent cracks this bauble, we're going to be laughing here. We get a free card out of it. Oh, look at this. Right into the arms of an angel. So we'll cast this in our opponent's turn in their upkeep before they draw any of their cards. Hiya, let's go. So when they go to their draw for turn, we're going to get a free card here. Big fan of free cards. Unfortunately, it's a land, but there's a Mox Opal. If they play something like a Psy, we can Snuff it out, and then we can just jam a Murktide Regent and go to beatdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can make a Murktide Regent this turn if we want to. A Lightning Bolt. Not very helpful in the face of a Chalice. And we're going to go to attacks. Get ourselves a little bit of damage. Let's fetch land. We've got another Volk here, so I think we're just going to get the Underground Sea. Blue, blue, blue. Instant, instant, and then a couple of lands. Okay, so we got 7 power in play. Our opponent can't draw multiple cards. They can phase their baubles in a way that they don't get to mess. They don't get to go onto the fairies. So they can crack it in their turn, draw on our turn. If they play any creatures, we can kill all the creatures in their deck with Snuff Out. We can actually pay for a Kappa Cannoneer kill here. We have a Brainstorm that we can't use. Let's go to attacks. Let's play our land out. It's not as if we can put anything away with a Brainstorm just yet. And having 4 mana means we have access to our Faerie Mastermind ability if we want it. Chalice of the Void for 0. This is just so they have enough Metalcraft to cast something, I imagine. Just going to be a Kappa Cannoneer. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Have a Kappa Cannoneer. We can kill this if we want to. Which I think we might as well. We'll do it in the end step. So we will do this paying 4 life. We will pay 4 for the ward trigger. And they're scooping it up. Alright, first one on the board. Let's go to our sideboard where we get all these horrible things that are going to mess them up. So you get Brotherhood's End, Meltdown, stuff like that. I don't think we're going to need Misdirections here. The Playing Engineer is okay for Thopters, if that's the thing we want. Pyroblast is pretty reasonable here as well. I think we're just going to strip out our Force of Wills. We don't want to 2-for-1 ourselves with those. Kolaghan's Command is great. There is a little bit of a tension between Meltdown and Chrome Host Seedshark. That is certainly a thing that might not work in our favour. But I think all these tools feel pretty strong to me. So we kind of want our cantrips, but also our cantrips get in the way of... I think we'll trim a Chrome Host because of all these cards. And are we going to trim a Baral? Casting 3 Kolaghan's Command off the Snuff Out. This matchup feels pretty good. Interesting. I feel it should be one of our 1-drops because they are a Chalice deck, but we have so many answers to Chalice. Maybe that's just not the case. Would I rather trim a Baral or Chrome Host? I think it might be the Chrome Host here. Just because of how it lines up with Brotherhood's End isn't great for us. Right, let's try this. We have a lot of tools. We should be able to win with 4 artifact sweepers. This hand is very slow, but does have a good card on 3. Is a good card on 3 worth keeping? I don't think so. I think we need something else. Jesus. This has like all of our sideboard, but none of our lands. Alright, this is the best one yet. We'll keep this. I think we have to get rid of an Archmage's Charm and a land here. We'll get rid of a Tarn so we have 2 lands with different names in case of Pithing Needle. So Chalice for 1 is going to be relatively annoying. It's going to blank one of the cards in our hand. Sure. Alright. Now we can Brotherhood's End this away when the time comes. That's very much the plan at least. We're going to find another land at some point. Okay, so we'll play this one out and we can get a Swamp for a Snuff Out if that's the thing we need. So we will snuff out an Emery, we'll snuff out a Psy, and that's probably all we should expect to go into play this turn unless they have a string of artifacts. Which is very possible, but then they might finish it with something like a Thought Monitor. I guess they could spam a load of artifacts and play a Kappa Cannoneer, which we'll probably lose to. An Emery, sure. Our opponent might have Force of Negation in their deck, so we're definitely going to snuff out on our opponent's turn here. It's not as if we can draw a Force of Will to force it through, because that's not a thing we've actually got in our deck right now. What do they see? They saw a Scalding Tarn. Another Bauble. 2 cards in our opponent's hand. Let's crack this, go and get ourselves an Underground Sea. Say goodbye to Emery. Unless they have Force of Will here. They do not have Force of Will. Alright. Opponent gets a card here. And we get... probably a 1-drop, right? A Chrome Host Seedshark. We'll play the Scalding Tarn because they know we have this. We'll pass a turn. So our plan is Chrome Host Seedshark. Bit of a nombo with the Brotherhood's End, the way we're going to be using it. But such is life sometimes. Seat of the Synod. That gets blown up by Brotherhood's End. Now our opponent didn't counter our Snuff Out. That doesn't mean they don't have a counter spell. Because our opponent might be looking at trying to hold their counter spells to stop some kind of meltdown effect. But we can get 3 for 1 if we resolve our Brotherhood's End, and it switches our Pyroblast back on. A Brainstorm also switches that back on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if they do Force of Will, it's going to take 2 cards. So this is either going to get 2 for 1 or a 3 for 1. Unless... no, yeah, it's 2 for 1 or a 3 for 1 here, right? They could have something like Metallic Rebuke, but that's not really in the Chalice builds. Alright, we blew up all of our opponent's permanents. If we can draw a land next turn, we can play a Chrome Host Seedshark holding up Brainstorm and Pyroblast, and then start making some little guys. Our big metal shark that is not an artifact creature. Make it make sense, right? Okay, so we've got an Urza's Saga. It's a pretty good way of recovering. A Pithing Needle. This is probably going to name a fetch land? Could name Wasteland. They might suspect we have Wastelands in our deck. They did. Excellent. Our deck is too greedy to play Wastelands. A land? Not a land. So I can hold up the Faerie Mastermind, or I can play the Seedshark. I think we're going to use this Underground Sea to Brainstorm. See if we can get a little deeper in our deck. Wowzers trousers, that's a lot of stuff, isn't it? Guess we don't need all of these cards just yet, do we? We'll put the Charm and the Baral on top. And then we'll pass, holding up Pyroblast and Faerie Mastermind. And then we're just going to try and Archmage's Charm our way through the rest of this game, I reckon. We can instant speed steal one of their things and reduce their artifact count, which will mess with them a little bit. We can't interact with this, so we just let it go. There's Basic Island. I imagine they're just going to be playing as a Saga game from here on out, which is fine. It's an effective way to play Magic. Jam our little guy. We're in. And it's our turn. So we're going to be drawing this Baral that we know about. So I think we go to attacks here. Then we're just going to hold up this Archmage's Charm and try and either draw some cards or steal something if we find something good that we want to get. Yeah, we have to tap the Ancient Tomb here, so that certainly helps us out. Right, so this is a 3-3, it's going to be a 5-5. We can steal a creature and put it under the bus if we want to. Yeah, take 2 more damage, that's fine. If they go for something like a Shadow Spear here, we can just steal the Shadow Spear and equip it to our guy. Or we can steal the guy with the Shadow Spear equipped to it and then bash our opponent with it next turn. And that would be really irritating for them. Right, an Ancient Tomb. They're going to tap that to put the Shadow Spear on. The guy will be smaller when we steal it. Okay. So this one is going to attack. So we can either steal the 6-6 here. I think we just steal the 6-6, right? We'll still have the Shadow Spear on. And they can pay 2 here to put the Shadow Spear onto their construct if they want to. They chose not to. Alright. So, I guess we go to attacks. And we can just make the same play next turn as well. Where we steal this guy after they spent life equipping the Shadow Spear. It's a pretty silly way to play Magic. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this a lot. They really need to connect with some lifelink in the near future. And we're hopefully going to stop them from doing that. If they attack with this, we'll just take it. That's fine by me. If we steal this, it also grows our construct. So this will go up to a 3-3, and this will be a 2-2. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that good enough? It's not bad, is it? If we find a land, we can play a Chrome Host Seedshark. They're going to Otawara. They're going to hardcast the Force of Negation. Sure. Going to 8. It's pretty good for us. Okay, so we can jam this one out. We're going to get ourselves a second Underground Sea here. We don't really have much black apart from the Snuff Out, really. And we got the Kolaghan Smile as well, I suppose. Let's just get this one. We'll cast this pre-combat in case we need to do something in combat with our Pyroblast. So our opponent can re-equip the Shadow Spear to their guy. Another island. Okay, that makes re-equipping even more tempting because it won't cost them an Ancient Tomb activation. I think they maybe just missed that they could Shadow Spear there. Because we don't control the Shadow Spear, we only control the construct. But yeah, that worked alright for us. So we're 1-0 already. We haven't really been doing the Baral stuff, but it's alright. Let's see if we can do it in another round. Our opening hand doesn't have any land, so we're going to mulligan. We're going to be relying on this Brainstorm to do a bit of work for us, but I think that's okay. We'll put back one of our seas and be fine with that. Is the red or the black mana more important to us? Because we want to play out one of these lands so we can Brainstorm and shuffle. Marsh Flats. I'm not a big fan of seeing that. That's usually a Reanimator card. Alright, our hand looks a bit better there. I think we'll jump down this Underground Sea first. Maybe make it look like we're a combo deck a little bit. So our opponent might be sculpting some stuff. Opponent says they're a fan of the channel, which is always lovely to see. Verdant Catacombs, okay. What is this going to produce? A Thought Seize. Interesting. Are we supposed to do a Brainstorm to hide here? What would we be hiding? Wowzers, trousers. This isn't great for us, is it? So I think we're going to hide one of these lands we don't want. And then put the... Is it the Mastermind or is it the Force of Will? I think we put the Force of Will on top here. So our opponent has a choice of 2 threats or a Brainstorm. We don't have Force of Will this turn, but we might have it for next turn. If our opponent's got like Dark Ritual, Entomb, Reanimate type stuff, then yeah, we're going to get done here. I did mention at the top that we have skimped a little bit on Graveyard Haste, so I'm hoping our opponent isn't a Graveyard deck. The Verdant Catacombs is unusual. We could be looking at some sort of Ad Nauseam Tendrils variant. Okay, so we have a land to shuffle away the land we don't want on top of our deck. So, pass a turn. If we can play the Chrome Host Seedshark and hold up the Force of Will, that's a very quick clock that we can deploy there. We'll see what our opponents are. They got 4 cards over there. Verdant Catacombs. I'm just going to get Thought Seized again, maybe? Or Badlands. It does feel like a Reanimator hand just trying to punch through blue permission. A Grief. So we have to let this hit. They'll take the Force of Will. And then we have to Brainstorm into some action afterwards. We know there's 1 card on top that we don't want. So we're going to crack that so we get to see 3 fresh ones. Faithless Looting. This will put things in the bin. But they will be able to flash it back. I think we have to let this one go and then try and do a Brainstorm afterwards for the thing that reanimates here. Alright, no big scary things. Reanimate targeting Grief. And we get a Volcanic Island here. We will Brainstorm with this because if we find the Lightning Bolt, we want to do that. Because we can bolt with a trigger on a stack. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Okay, we want to have this Murktide, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we want this Murktide on top of our library. What do we want the card underneath that to be? I think we want to protect the Archmage's Charm and the Murktide Regent. Murktide Regent will race this Grief handily. So we're going to lose probably the Faerie Mastermind because, let's face it, it's a much better card than Chrome Host Seedshark. Seedshark. Oh, they took the Seedshark. Interesting. Okay. Over to us. So the top card of our library is the Archmage's Charm. 1, 2, 3. So we're just going to cast this big boy. Blue. Blue. Get rid of all of our instants. And then we'll get rid of some other bits. It doesn't really matter here. Alright, so we've got the biggest creature on the board. Our opponent has no cards in hand. I like the spot we're in. Our opponent has to do 2 things to make a guy enter the bin, and we've got a 2-turn clock here, and we're about to untap with a hard counterspell. We can't block this because it's got Menace. We've got loads of life to work with. Right, we are A-OK here. I will play this Volcanic Island out. We don't need to commit the Faerie Mastermind to the board. We just need the Archmage's Charm, anything that's relevant. Let's see how punished we are for our sideboarding. Animate Dead on Faerie Mastermind. Sure. If we just counter this, we should win the game. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand, so we won't have anything here. Alright, we got game 1. Now, this is where we fall down a bit, right? We don't have the right amount of tools here. Surgical Extraction and Flusterstorm both do stuff. Pyroblast answers Show and Tell. Hydroblast answers the Faithless Looting. Is either of that where I want to be? I'll tell you where I don't want to be, is making our opponent discard a card. I don't want to be snuffing them out either. So with that in mind, that means we should probably be bringing in some number of these things. Hydroblast pitches to Force of Will, so I don't mind that one as much. Do we want Pyroblast just to counter Show and Tell? I think we probably do. We've got anything else that's coming out here? We've got hard counters, we've got counters. Misdirection. How useful is Misdirection going to be? We can force a discard spell onto our opponent. That's probably going to help them, if anything. I'm not convinced by Misdirection. But is it better than what we could bring in instead? Like, these cards can be completely blank, right? Ugh. I think we're supposed to keep the Misdirection in. We can mess with what our opponent targets with their reanimation spells. It's not great. This is the matchup we don't have the tools for. We got very lucky to win the first game. So hopefully our opponent's going to think we've got some amount of ley lines or something. And they'll board for ley lines. We have a Force of Will. We have a Hydroblast. Like, what are we going to do better than that? We have Interaction. I think we have to keep this. Our opponent's mulligan to 6 so far. They've mulligan to 5. So the lower they go, the better our Force of Will gets. Because the chance of them having discard and the reanimate spell gets lower. And if they just go for it, we can get them with a Force of Will. Alright. So now we're going to have a Hydroblast up for... I think we're going to play... We don't need to play our Island out. We can just play it later if they have a Magus of the Moon, which is sometimes what these decks board into. So we'll jam this Underground Sea. We don't need to fetch Sharding because it's already in our hand. I would play a fetch land on turn 1 otherwise. Alright. What is this going to be? Is this going to be an Entomb end of turn? We will counter this if it is. It was not. Okay. Our opponent's probably going to punch a hole in our hand before they do anything. That's what I would do. Unless they've just got multiple ways and you're just going to keep putting stuff in the bin. Do we care about Dauthi Voidwalker? I don't think we do. We've got Lightning Bolts in our deck still. Faerie Mastermind. That's a pretty useful card. Let's play out our basic island here and pass the turn. So our Faerie Mastermind is going to not equal this threat, but it's going to get close. And when we add the Chrome Host Seedshark, we're going to end up with slightly better aggro. So if our opponent doesn't necessarily do anything else, we might be alright. A Grief. They're evoking a Grief here. It's going to take our Force of Will. Our opponent's got 2 cards in hand. Do we want to force this Grief? I think we're just going to cast this Faerie Mastermind first. And then we're going to let this resolve. A Hydroblast looking pretty bad here. We could have pitched this to the Force of Will, but it's basically doing the same thing as the Grief. I have to imagine they're taking Force of Will here. And at least we're going to have the Hydroblast left over in case our opponent does try and do the... Yeah, so there's the Force of Will. It is now underneath their Dauthi Voidwalker, which is important to note. Another Dauthi Voidwalker, sure. I think we're supposed to play the Shark here, right? This is just going to be a straight up race. And we can try and ponder for a Lightning Bolt later on. By doing this first, we get the value here of getting the guy. So we're going to be taking 6. That's a 3-turn clock. We've got our opponent on a 4-turn clock. So we will need to find something to interfere with it. Okay, an Animate Dead on the Grief. This is going to take our Ponder, I would imagine. Yeah, there goes the Ponder. So if we do if we attack with Chrome Host Seedshark, we can't block the Grief. Whereas if we hold it back, we can block with both of them. We're definitely casting a Seedshark here. Question is, are we attacking with... So if we don't, we take 3, 6, 7, 8. And then we die to Enium. So I think we have to hold back on blocks with 2 of these to block the Grief. We can fire off a Hydroblast just on whatever. Because you can target anything with this. It only does its stuff if it's the right colour. So we can use this one to make a Chrome Host thing. Just those 2 coming in. Sure. So we need to find a Lightning Bolt this turn. Are we supposed to fire off this Hydroblast? I don't think the 1-1 is going to cut it here. I think we need to have more cards with Brainstorms and things. A Force of Will. That doesn't do it. If we make us draw another card, it can't be a land and a thing. Yeah, we're just dead there. Alright. That got us pretty good there. In case of the Duke again, I think we're supposed to board out the Hydroblast for these Kolaghan's commands. And use these to kill the guys, maybe, if we get caught in a similar position. Because these cards are pretty marginal anyway. We'll try that. We're on the play this time, which certainly helps. I like this opening hand. We will keep. I think we will cast a Ponder here. I like Brainstorm. Not massive about the Chrome Host though. There's no fetch land involved here. I think we'll just go any order and shuffle. We're looking for some slightly different tools, I would say. Like we've got the aggro plan covered. We've got a counter spell, but our opponent kept 7, so not a big fan of that. Unmask targeting us. It's gonna hit. Can't do anything about it. I don't want to spend 2 cards for the unmask. This is why the Red Black Reanimator can be so potent against non-leyline decks, because they hit you with discard, so your interaction just goes bye-bye. We got a Dark Ritual here. We do. We have an Entomb. We got a Grizzlebrand. We got a Reanimate. Kolaghan's Command. Does that do anything? Not particularly. If our opponent cracks a fetch and pays 7, then we can get them. They seem very unlikely to do that. We do get to draw a card if they do that at some point. If they draw some more cards here, we can put in the Faerie Mastermind. Now they can draw cards pretty easily. We're going to get a card here, but our opponent's going to discard at least 1 card from our hand this turn. You got Grief, Thoughtseize, and Unmask in that deck. A Lotus Petal. They're probably going to put another creature into play this turn. It'd be pretty good. We skimped a little bit on Graveyard Hate, and we're getting punished for it. Yep, we got nothing here, so we can just F6 our turn. What are you going to take? The Kolaghan's Command. They're going to entomb another guy. It's an Archon of Cruelty. It is an Archon of Cruelty. Was this an Exhume? We don't get a guy. We lose our guy. We are done. Alright. I mentioned that we'd probably lose against Reanimator because we didn't have enough stuff in our sideboard, and I was right. Let's go. I think we could have won that second game if we just drawn a tiny bolt though. But let's go to round 3. We're on the play. We have no lands. Let's mulligan. Our Brainstorm's going to have to do some work for us here, but I think we can keep this one. We got a redundant Baral that we can send back. There is a problem with our deck having quite a high curve. Like we're trying to make 3 drops, which is not ideal. Alright, if our opponent wastelands us, we have to Brainstorm in response, because we need to make sure we hit our land drops. A swamp, okay. We're getting Thoughtseized. Okay, we are going to Brainstorm in response. We got some lands. Which of these would I like on top of our library? We're going to shuffle this Baral away, and then we're going to put this Murktide on top. I think we'd like to keep the Murktide preserved. If we're going to be losing a bunch of cards from our hand, we might be able to jam a quick Murktide. Is our opponent on Reanimator? Let's find out. They took the card that was weird. A solid choice. So here's our Murktide. We'll play our Polluted Delta they know about and pass a turn. If we want the Baral on top, which I don't think we do, then we can not shuffle, but I think we're probably going to be shuffling. We do have to watch out for Opposition Agent potentially though. Okay. What is this going to be? A Smallpox, you say? Interesting. We'll do this first because we don't want the card on top of our library here. We'll play an Underground, put an Underground Sea into play. And sure. We'll get rid of a Lightning Bolt. The reason for this is if we draw a Force of Will, I'd like to be able to cast it next turn. We'll get rid of this Underground Sea. So if we can draw a Force of Will, that'd be handy for us. We did not draw a Force of Will. Alright, we got to play what we got to play here. So out comes the Underground Sea. In comes the big creature. Get rid of some instants, and then we just get rid of whatever. Another Smallpox, obviously bad for us, but we've also got to dodge some edicts and stuff, but I don't think not playing this Murktide is going to get us anywhere. Alright. We're losing some more things. We'll discard the Seedshark here. Sacrifice this, and we'll get rid of our Volk. We've already got rid of one of our Underground Seas, so we may as well try and keep the maximum number of each land in the deck. Force of Will, a little bit late there. One turn too late. I think we are relatively odds on to win the game. If we had that Force of Will the previous turn. Not a big fan of the Wasteland there. What do we got? A Snuff Out. Not really going to do anything in this matchup, I would imagine. At least we have a fetch land. We can't Wasteland that one. Urza Saga. Yep, we can't. We actually have a target for Snuff Outs now, at least. We got here a Nile Spellbomb. Sure, they can use this to get rid of our ability to play a Murktide. They're just doing it straight away now, so we can't do a Murktide on our turn. That seems fair enough, I guess. If they don't have a land in hand, this Urza Saga is not going to do a great deal. Okay, so we've got another fetch land. Wasteland proof source of mana. Alright, so they did have a land. Making a guy. Sure. We can snuff this out if we need to. We've got a decent amount of life to work with. This game isn't going to be about life totals. It's going to be about resources. Crack this for an Underground Sea. We will cast our Ponder. I don't think our opponent's going to be casting any spells into the Force of Will anyway. So we've got a land. We've got a Baral. We need the land and we need the Baral. Which means we're probably putting Force of Will down and then the land and then the Baral. So draw the Baral. If we have to use it as a blue card for our Force of Will, then so be it. We can then shuffle our library after we draw the land. And not just have a redundant Force of Will. So I don't think our opponent's going to cast anything on a Force of Will this turn. I think they're just going to make some guys here. If we don't crack this, they can get Pith Needle and Wasteland us. I hate this. I hate this so much. Alright. Nice to see Smallpox smashing people though, but it's just not very nice being on the receiving end of. Cursed Scroll. That's a classic. So they got a 3/3 coming in here. If you're unfamiliar with Cursed Scroll, it's 3 mana, reveal a card at random. Name a card, reveal a card at random. If it's the named card, you get to dome them for 2. Yeah. So, pretty good. I probably should have killed that construct last turn. Instead of taking the damage, that's annoying. Should have done that. Just took 3 damage for no reason there. Thoughtseize. Like, I guess. It's cost us 4 life, but saves us 4 life, so it's neutral. But we should have done it last turn. So we should be on 9 instead of 6 here. If we can deploy this Baral, it can check their construct token for a little bit. We did not do that though. We might have to just play this Faerie Mastermind and trade with it, which would be awkward. But if we have to do it, we have to do it. A land from our opponent is bad, but a spell from our opponent is also bad for us. So, not enjoying this situation. We don't really have a mana base that enjoys being wastelanded either. Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. Interesting. I don't like it, but I'm going to go along with it. Our life total is a precious resource. A land. Not a land. Okay, we're passing here. Our opponent doesn't have 3 mana for the Cursed Scroll because Tabernacle doesn't tap for mana. Once they get another land for the Cursed Scroll... Oh, an Urborg's pretty good. That turns the Tabernacle into a land mana source as well. What are they going to name here? Shoulder's Edict. So they've got Ifnir Dreadlands and Shoulder's Edict in hand. So we kind of need them to keep drawing lands here. If we can draw a land there, we can steal their Cursed Scroll, and that might be quite fun. Force of Will, Ponder, Underground Sea. We want the Underground Sea for next turn, so we'll put the Ponder on the bottom. Put then the Underground Sea, and then the Force of Will in our hand. We'll not shuffle our library. So we can Force of Will something scary, but next turn we have to Archmage's Charm the Cursed Scroll. If they're Dreadlands, so they got Shoulder's Edict and one other card in hand. Are we going to get lucky here? Shoulder's Edict. Sure. My Cursed Scroll. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, right? I do like Archmage's Charm. It's a pretty cool card. So, our opponent's got Shoulder's Edict in hand. And possibly another land. We're looking at here. Him to Turak. Yep, it's the same either way. So it doesn't really impact us here. We have a Ponder. We like to cast a Ponder to try and dig our way in this game. I think so. Archmage's Charm, Chrome Host Seedshark. We'll put the Seedshark, then the Charm, then this island. Do we actually want the Archmage's Charm is the question. It is a hard counter spell. Problem is, if we play this, we won't have a card in hand, right? So we need to have a card in hand for the Curse Scroll to work. We will play out our island here, though. It means things like Smallpox are worse against us. The next turn, we can hold up a counter spell and Curse Scroll our opponent. Okay, so now we're in a relatively good position, I would say. We've got a win condition here, and we've got a piece of protection. This has been a really good game. Really interesting. Enjoying this one. Oh no, what are they doing here? 4 mana. Khan the Great Creator. That's a no from me. So now we have a Chrome Host Seedshark on top of our library. Oh no, what is this? It was a Khan. Khan couldn't have been a bait spell. It's too good. Sheoldred's Edict. Okay, they want to get cards out of their hand for the purposes of their Castle Locthwain, so that isn't a mistake. That's a heads-up play. We're going to dome our opponent with the Curse Scroll, I think, rather than play the Chrome Host. Dark Ritual. Okay, this doesn't sound like it's going to be great for us. Oh, Castle Locthwain. They're just doing it so they have less cards in hand, sure. Another Dark Ritual. Okay. Chrome Host Seedshark. Boom. We got a win condition up and running. A Snuff Out. Not a fan of having this in our hand, truth be told. Do I want to play this Chrome Host Seedshark out? It turns on a bunch of our opponent's cards. I think we keep it and we just try and get lucky with the Curse Scroll here. We can hardcast a Snuff Out. Right, again, they're doing this to keep cards out of their hand to make Castle Locthwain better. An Ensnaring Bridge. Yep. Funny old game, Magic. We'll name the card that they've already seen. They're both the same probability. Yeah, we got them. 3 more turns of that, please. Oh, jeez. This gets harder and harder to name. Alright. Wouldn't mind finding a Force of Will, because that can strip 2 cards out of our hand to make the Curse Scroll more likely. What is this? Castle Locthwain. Going to 3. It's getting tense. A Wasteland. They can take out our Volcanic Island here. I could have floated just in case they're going to snuff. We need to snuff something out. Let's see if we can get lucky again. Magic Chrome Host Seedshark. We showed them the Baral. Okay. A Kolaghan's Command with no red mana. I guess we pass the turn. We're trying to draw a red mana source and get lucky with our Curse Scroll. It's going to be a Khan. No, 3 mana. Urza Saga's pretty worrying for us if they find one. Alright, they're drawing from Castle Locthwain. My opponent is being a very good sport about what's happening and having a great time. Magic Chrome Host Seedshark, please. Oh, we missed. What do we show them? The Baral again. Red source? Not a red source. Alright. So now we're naming Kolaghan's Command because we have 2 of them in our hand. Kolaghan's Command. Oh, it's all there is to Baral. Give us a red source. Yeah. Target player discards a card. 2 damage to any target. Choose target player. We'll discard a card. And we'll deal 2 damage to them. Red, 1. Oh, black. We'll discard this Snuff Out. Oh. Weird old game. So, Pox. Yikes. How do we beat Pox? Flusterstorm counters a Smallpox. I don't hate that. They didn't show us any green mana, so I don't think we want Surgicals. We obviously don't want Pyroblast and Hydroblast. They can get out. These things for as a Saga construct feel reasonable to me. I don't particularly like the Snuff Outs, so they can go for these. Misdirection. We can misdirect him to Turak. That's always fun. And I think that's about where we're at. We could bring in the Brotherhood's End, but it's a 3-mana spell. Not entirely sure that's where I want to be. The Force of Wills feel pretty bad, but I don't think we can get rid of them here. Alright, let's go for it. One land is not the amount of land I would like versus a Smallpox deck. I think we mulligan to try and find more lands. Alright, we'll keep this one. It's got loads of lands in it. We'll keep this. The Murktide or the Baral. I think it's the Baral here. I want to do the thing with it one time, but mulliganing against Smallpox, not great, but having a 1 land against Smallpox, even worse. So I'm okay with the situation. I'm not happy about it, but I'm okay with it. Alright, let's see how our opponent's going to approach this one. Presumably Thoughtseizes and that sort of jazz. No Thoughtseize on 1. If we play out the Scalding Tarn, we're playing into Wasteland. But it makes our Brainstorms worse. I think we do play out the Scalding Tarn, so we don't play into Wasteland. But we could play out like a Volcanic Island and mean that we get to shuffle one of our cards away the Brainstorm if we have to do an emergency Brainstorm. If our opponent's Smallpoxes this turn, I don't mind. Not ideal, but I don't mind. If our opponent tries to him us... Alright, so we played around the Wasteland. Good. Smallpox. I think this is fine. What are we going to lose here? We'll discard a Volcanic Island, I think. And what are they going to lose here? They're losing their Wasteland. That's fine. That's probably okay for us. We've got 2 cards in hand. Surgical Extraction on Volcanic Island. I see. We're one of those gamers, are we? So we don't get to cast Kolaghan's Command this game or Meltdown. Understood. Yeah. Pretty good. We do not have a Badlands in our deck. Our opponent has now seen our entire deck. And we're only going to draw red cards from this point onwards, I'm sure. We'll play this Polluted Delta out. We can at least Brainstorm and shuffle away the cards. If we find any red ones. There's a Saga. It's a pretty good one. We can't dome the things in it either, so... Tough. Wait, did they miss one of our Volcanics? Oh, that's interesting. That does change the texture of this game. Okay. So, what are we doing now? We've got Faerie Mastermind that we can jam with. They got a land? They do. And if near Dreadlands. Just making a guy so they can pretty much just F6. Sure. Our opponent's end step, we're going to make the Fairy. I think we'll get this basic island here. We don't really want to show them that we've got the... This is an Underground Sea because of the Urborg anyway. A Force of Will. I don't hate this one, that's for sure. Are we Brainstorming this turn? Not really, I don't think. Maybe. Let's try a... yeah, let's try a Brainstorm. What do we have here? Underground Sea we don't want. And we'll put back this. We'll put back the Volcanic Island. We can play out the Scalding Tarn, and we know there's a Volcanic Island in our deck still. Let's bash. Our opponent's got 1 card, but they do have this Urza Saga that's going to find them some good stuff in short order. We can just draw this Volcanic Island if we want to, or we can shuffle and find it, depending on what we think our opponent is up to. Alright, here comes another guy. I think we have to go and find a Volcanic here. Our opponent's probably going to be like, what? So they got a Curse Scroll. They've also got 6 power on board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can deploy a Murktide, but it won't be very big. It'll be big enough to tussle, provided they don't find any more artifacts. We're looking for an instant or sorcery. Oh, Meltdown, jeez. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Oh dear. Okay. We're in a pretty commanding position now. We've got Force of Will for any big scary things. Innocent Blood. That's fine. We don't care about that one. A Thoughtseize. We do care about this one. We would like to deploy our Murktide Regent next turn. This also makes our Murktide Regent bigger, and our opponent has to draw an answer for it off the top. The deck's probably going to have quite a few answers to it though. Baral and Kari Zev. Instant, sorcery, instant, and let me just jam. A couple of lands out there. So we've got a large boy. So let's see if this can go all the way, or he's just going to get Innocent Blooded, or Shouldered Edict, or Sudden Edict. Yep. We've got another threat in hand. But our opponent certainly has what I would describe as some amount of removal. Let's play Baral and Kari Zev for the first time. Let's see if we can do anything with it. If we have an Archmage's Charm, we get a free Lightning Bolt off of it. I don't hate that. Maze of it. Alright. We will cast a Brainstorm. We will make a monkey. Cast a lesser spell with your hand. Click no to create Ragavan. Yes, okay. Kolaghan's Command is great. I think the Lightning Bolt is the worst card here. Then it's the Kolaghan's Command. We'll play this land out so we can counter anything scary. We'll go to attacks. We actually get 2 damage in here. Whew. Go, Gadget Ragavan. Sure. This also insulates us against against Edict effects because we have 2 creatures. So pretty nice. We don't have to counter Edicts, we can just counter this and then we can draw some cards with this if we need to. I'd very much like to draw the Kolaghan's Command on top of our deck though. What is this? Don't make me counter a spell, please. So Liliana, I'm okay with that. I think. Alright. They're just doing this to get a Castle Lochthwain draw. Alright, so we get to draw our Kolaghan's Command, which should be pretty good. Alright, our hand is pretty good now. Powerful Ragavan action. We get to force 2 damage through a turn with this. We have a Kolaghan's Command for the last 2. We have countered magic. They can put -1/-1 counters on our creatures with their Ifnir Dreadlands, which is actually really irritating. If they shrink our Baral, because then they can just keep bouncing our Ragavan every turn with the Maze of Ith. We never get anywhere. So that's a pretty horrible play for us. They can do it. They'll take 2 this turn if they do it. Is that what they're doing, or are they casting? I don't know what they'd be casting for 5. They could just be activating the Castle Lochthwain. That's a bit risky. Yep, there's the play that I thought would be a very good play. Do I know what's on top of my library? I can't remember now. I don't think I do. Oh, it was the Lightning Bolt, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, I'm pretty happy to have this on top of our library. Should have remembered that. So this puts our opponent to 6. And we have 5 points of burn in hand and a counterspell. We do not get to attack with our Ragavan again. Well, we do, but it just gets Maze of Ith. Mishra's Factory. That's a thing. What is this? Castle Lochthwain. Okay, so that is the game, I think. 2 damage to any target, and I'll return our Faerie Mastermind. Blue, black, red. Oh, yes. We're winning with the Baral trigger. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Whew, we did get lucky there. Our opponent missed our Volcanic Island in our deck, so we managed to be able to cast our red spell that completely won us the game. I don't know if we win our game if all of our Volcanic Islands were gone. But we had some pretty good stuff going on there towards the end, which is kind of part of the problem with Smallpox is if you don't have a way of winning the game, your opponent gets a lot of time to draw out of what you've done initially. But obviously, the Saga was their way of winning the game, and we just happened to sneak around that. All right, we are 2-1. Let's go to round 4. We're on the play. We've got some interaction. I think we keep this one. You can also lead out on a fetch land, so we can't be wastelanded. Maybe for turn 2, we can Faerie Mastermind and get some sweet value. I think we'll play out the Polluted Delta. We're more of a Volcanic Island deck, right? So if we play out the Polluted Delta, our opponent might think slightly differently. Got to squeeze every penny, right? Let's see what our opponent's got. Oh, they're an Underground Sea deck. A Thoughtseize. Do I want to hide what we're doing here? No, I don't think so. I think I'd rather use this Brainstorm to fish for action next turn if I need it. So my initial instinct is that our opponent is playing Doomsday. Right. Oh, they took Fairy. Interesting. So we'll play our Scalding Tarn. Just thinking, if we cast a Brainstorm now, we might be able to ponder as well, so I think it's worth doing. So let's go for Volcanic Island into a Brainstorm here. A lot of land I don't really want. Let's chuck these two back. So I'd like to make it through this next turn cycle if possible. And we can play a Baral and have Force of Will giving us a free spell. It's pretty nice. Watery Grave. Okay, so our opponent is on Death Shadow, but they just started off on Underground Sea. Hymn to Turak. Would I like to discard 2 cards at random, or would I like to discard Force of Will, blue card? I think I'll take my chance with random cards. Okay, that's not too bad. Practicing the upkeep. Go and get ourselves an Underground Sea. And we've drawn a Baral. We're going to go get ourselves Volcanic Island. Makes us harder to waste off of red. Blue, blue, red. Let's play Baral and Kari Zev. A daze. Okay. That's fine, I guess. We can jam it the next turn because we've got another one in hand. Our opponent's got so many cards in hand over there. They're lowering their life total. They've got him. Yuck. Alright, this game is over, I would say. Unless our opponent's 4 cards in hand is just bad. Alright, we drew a thing. Let's cast the thing before it gets Thoughtseize out of our hand. The Shark. Sure, they got days. When we have no cards in hand and our opponent's a discard deck, I don't think we can afford to play around days there. Especially since this turn they could just play a Death Shadow and hold up that 1 mana spell, Stubborn Dismissal, Stubborn Denial, whatever it's called. Okay, I guess this is our opportunity to brainstorm into Lightning Bolt. Kolaghan's Command and Ponder. Interesting. Kolaghan's Command probably not helping us out here. Do I want to ponder now? Or do I want to ponder next turn? I think we need to ponder now. Clear these cards. Any order. Shuffle. We found the Lightning Bolt. Is it good? Street Wraith blows us out here. But I think we've got to do this. A daze. Sure. Our opponent's had 3 dazes. Oh my days. Yeah. I'm not really sure what we can do to beat our opponent's hand. It's been very good. Thoughtseize, double him to Turak, triple daze. Now we're getting beat down by the Death Shadow. Not where I want to be, unfortunately. We'll play a Chrome Host Seedshark into another daze. No. Ooh, we got a creature that's going to get snuffed out. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that puts our opponent to 9. So if they can deal themselves 3 damage, we lose. So fetch land wins them the game. Ponder looking for a fetch land. They did not shuffle. Alright, this does it for them as well. Yeah, that was a thorough dismantling. Our opponent is just a much lower to the ground deck, so they get a lot of work. So Plague Engineer can kill Death Shadows. Flusterstorm can counter the scary things. And Pyroblast can kill the Murktide Regents and stuff. I do not like Force of Will in this matchup. I don't think I like Misdirection either. Snuff Out, also pretty bad. Oh look, we've boarded out more cards than we have. That's awkward. So, we need to put 2 cards back in the deck. Snuff Out can kill Murktide Regent. I don't think that's good enough. I think we're just going to have a couple of forces. The Misdirection is nice for hymns. It gives you a 3 for 2, basically. We pitch 2 cards, they lose 3, including the hymn. But I think Force of Will was just a better card. No, we do not want this. Alright, we got some tools. We'll keep this. What are we binning off? I think it's the Lightning Bolt. It's unlikely to pick up much in the way of good targets. So we're probably going to get Thoughtseize on turn 1, and then we're going to lose something. Probably our Faerie. Oh no. Alright, we'll play out our Polluted Delta and pass. So we've got the Faerie Mastermind kicking around. So if they cast a Ponder or something, we can jam our Faerie Mastermind. A Baleful Strix. We'll get Underground Sea. We will get a Volcanic Island. We will cast our little fairy friend. A daze. I'm really tempted to force this. This is kind of all the marbles if this doesn't go through. They got Snuff Out as well. That's real bad for us. But if they had a Snuff Out, they probably would have used it here. Alright. We're in. We have a lot of options here. Our opponent does not have a second daze, otherwise they would have used it, I think. We now have a target for a lightning bolt as well, which we happen to have drawn. I feel we're in the driving seat right now, but our opponent has a lot of cards. It's about how well they can deploy them and how they interact with the board. Thought Seize. I think this is a cast a Brainstorm moment. Pyroblast, Lightning Bolt. Oh, this is pretty good. We can make it so our opponent doesn't have a choice here. But Pyroblast, followed by the Archmage's Charm. Take one of our Lightning Bolts. We do want the cards on top of our library, though. A Death's Shadow. Is this a trap? If we bolt this now and they have a Snuff Out, it feels like a trap. We can't really play around that, though. Let's Lightning Bolt this. They know we had the Lightning Bolts. They must have a trick here. No. I just wanted to get through it. So we have an Archmage's Charm, and then we have a Pyroblast, which we probably do want. I think we play this Misty Rainforest out just so we can play around with days. We can also activate Faerie Mastermind if we feel like it. I don't think that's a place we want to be. But we draw 2 cards, they draw 1. Maybe that's quids in, but we'll have to lose the Pyroblast to do that. So I don't think that's where I want to be. There's a Wasteland. Let's float a blue. We'll not use this mana. A Dalthy Voidwalker. How much do I care about Dalthy Voidwalker here? Am I willing to trade to get rid of my Pyroblast to get rid of this Dalthy Voidwalker? It's pretty good. We've already gone through 2 Lightning Bolts. Our opponent's only on 12. I think we let the Dalthy Voidwalker come in. I think I want this Pyroblast. Fortunately, we don't have the mana to use it and our Archmage's Charm, so we can't actually attack this turn. We have to hold up the Charm or the Pyroblast. We can Pyroblast the Strix end of turn. Horrible play, but we can do it. But I'd rather Pyroblast a Murktide. This looks like a Murktide. So we're going to Archmage's Charm because if we Pyroblast and it fails, the Archmage's Charm doesn't answer it. Get one of these. So black. I think our opponent's probably winning this game relatively handily. This is also a pretty scary thing to put underneath Dalthy Voidwalker. Force of Will. Sure. Okay, we've got 2 fun with that, and then we can clean this up with the Pyroblast next turn. It's only a 4/4, but it will end the game relatively quickly. I'd like to destroy this blue permanent, please. And we go to tax. Then we'll hold this in hand. We might want to Brainstorm it away. We can play it next turn, but it doesn't actually give us anything else this turn other than representing Archmage's Charm. So our opponent just attacks a 3 this turn. Oh no, they're going in for the full 4. Interesting. We've got something like a Death's Shadow. That's pretty good. Okay, we've got a Pyroblast. That's a good one. I think we will play this out now so we have the option of activating our Faerie if we want to. It draws me 2 cards and then 1 card. So, considering... So, if we kill their Baleful Strix, it does buy us another turn. Is that good? How does that change the race? We still lose this race if we do that. But no, I think we have to take it here. Like, a Kolaghan's Command is just absolutely backbreaking on this board if we can find one. I think we need to draw a card now, though. Just get an Underground Sea. Draw some cards. We got a removal spell for this. Dress Down. Yep, okay, so we both just draw 1 card. Pyroblast. No, what have they got here? A Petty Theft on our guy. Sure, it's pretty annoying. Okay, we've got another Pyroblast. That's not unhelpful. Alright, we have a Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt targets this guy. Step 1. We have Faerie Mastermind. We have Pyroblast. We have useful cards in our hand right now. Can we go to 1 here? I don't think we can Pyroblast this. I think we have to Pyroblast their threats, which is awkward because they're representing another 3/1. So we need to be able to Pyroblast both of them. So we have to Pyroblast a creature this turn, which means we're probably Pyroblasting this Baleful Strix, as bad as that sounds. And then we're going to draw a Kolaghan's Command, and they're going to draw a Murktide Regent, and we're going to feel bad. I think we do have to Pyroblast this. I don't like it, but that's the game we're playing. Another one. Alright, we'll cast our little guy, so maybe we can draw a bonus card here. Snuff Out, putting our opponent to 2. Interesting. So we have a bunch of cards that win us the game now. We got 2 Kolaghan's Command and another Lightning Bolt. Alright. That's not the one that wins us the game right now, is it? So I don't think we're Pyroblasting now. We use this Pyroblast to protect our Kolaghan's Command or Lightning Bolt if we find it. We take the 1. We go to 1. Pretty tight margins here. I don't think our opponent was supposed to snuff out our Faerie there. Maybe I'm wrong, but... Right, Kolaghan's Command off the top. We drew the Kolaghan's Command. Do wait till our opponent flashes in this Faerie, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do. I think we do. Otherwise, we'd try it in our opponent's upkeep. Alright. In response, cast this. 2 damage to any target. Target player discards a card, I guess. So, blue, black, red. We have a Pyroblast if they have a counterspell in hand. We can play around a daze. It has to be double days, right? And we've already been through 1 day. Okay, it could be double days. Force of Will. Let's Pyroblast it. Boom! That's the game. Let's go to game 3. That was a really good game. I enjoyed that one. Obviously winning it certainly makes me enjoy it a touch more, but there we are. Do we want these meltdowns for these annoying little guys? What would we have instead? I don't think we want anything instead, right? These aren't flying tokens, are they? No. I think we're just rolling it back. Maybe Brotherhood's End is useful though. Oh, we got the Plague Engineers actually, sorry, haven't we? We got the Plague Engineers which take out the owls. Yeah, that's fine. I forgot about that. Okay, we have a basic land. We got some blue spells. I'm gonna keep this. We also got the Faerie Mastermind that's pretty good in blue mirrors. Thoughtseize. Okay, we're probably losing the Faerie Mastermind here. They can't take us off Ponder. They could take us off Brainstorm if they wanted, but Ponder and Brainstorm do similar effect. Oh, it took one of our Ponders. Interesting. Murktide, a big murky boy. Right, let's go for Ponder here. Do I want another Murktide Regent? No. Do I want this Scalding Tarn? Sure. I think we're just going to shuffle our library here. Alright, I don't hate that. We will need a red source at some point. But obviously we didn't have any red spells when we decided to shuffle that Ponder. Daddy Voidwalker. So we have an answer for this. We do need to find a red source. Boom. There's a red source. Do we think our opponent has got... They're probably more likely to have 1 mana counter magic than Force of Negation here. If they do Force of Negation here, I don't actually mind. Let's try and clean this up with a Lightning Bolt. Force of Will. Pitching Days. Sure. We've got more... yeah, we've got more removal in our deck, so... We're getting a Ponder off from our opponent with my preferred choice of artwork. Like the weird little merfolk people. I really enjoyed Lorwyn as a set. As a little aside, I thought it was an excellently designed set. One of the best. Our opponent took a long time and then did not shuffle with that Ponder. Right, we're going to get bashed for 3. That's fine. We've got a lot of time to find an answer here. I don't think we're firing off this Brainstorm just naked like that. Maybe now we do, though. Let's Brainstorm looking for a fetch land. Did not find a fetch land. Interesting. We found a load of stuff that's not really where we want to be. Interesting. I guess we don't need this Seedshark. I don't think we need this Brainstorm. Right. We'll deploy a land and we'll pass a turn. So we've kind of got some cards to chew through here. Am I probably doing anything in the second main or not? A Murktide Regent. We'll cast this Faerie Mastermind. Murktide Regent is pretty big news. Alright, let's try a Brainstorm again. Interesting, I suppose. We don't want the Seedshark for now. And we're not casting the Flusterstorm right now because we're going to play... Are we playing the Seedshark or are we playing Baral and Kari Zev? This one flies, so we can definitely use this as a chump blocker in the near future. Let's try this. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. Daze is pretty good against us here. Yeah, there it is. We need to get a 3rd spell in our graveyard so that our own Murktide can at least trade with theirs. If we can get 2 spells in, that would be great. So hopefully we can Brainstorm next turn into something and then Murktide and have a bigger Murktide. But we only have one turn to really do that. Oh geez, what are they getting here? Weird, they're doing a Brainstorm or a Ponder here. Oh, it's any card, isn't it? Yes, they can get the Seedshark, of course. Interesting. I think Doughty Voidwalker is better than the Seedshark here, right? Because this means we can get some cards in our graveyard. Yeah, I don't like that play. Sure. That's something nice to steal with Archmages in a bit. Alright, step 1, cast a Brainstorm. Okay, so we don't need the Shark, we don't need the Baral. We'll play a land. We will. I think we go to attacks. Is that right? If we go to attacks here and our guy dies, that's okay for us. Alright, no blocks. Okay, then we'll bolt this guy. Then we'll make a bigger Murktide. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is why I don't think they should have Doughty Voidwalker here. Hold on. We need to crack this first, don't we? And we'll get ourselves another Underground Sea, so they can't wasteland us off the colour. And then we will go blue, blue, cast this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have a slightly bigger Murktide Regent. Yeah, our opponent let us in the back door by getting rid of the Doughty Voidwalker there. People want to play with the new cards here, right? Scalding Tarn, that's a good draw for us, because we don't want our opponent to have anything good. Petty Theft. There's been one spell cast. So this will not be enough. They will crack their fetch land and pay for it. And then we die. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I think we were so close to winning that one. Our opponent made a pretty sizable mistake by sacrificing the Doughty Voidwalker there. We just couldn't quite punish it. If we'd have found a Red Blast instead of that Lightning Bolt, then that game is absolute ease to win, I think. Yeah, very close margins there. We just didn't quite make it. Let's go to the final round with 2 and 2. Our opening hand, on the draw, we have a Brainstorm to try and get us out of stuff. We have a little bit of protection. We've got lots of interaction. I think I'm going to keep this one lander because of the Brainstorm. I might not keep it on the play, but I think I can keep it on the draw. A basic island, a Mox Opal, sure. A Lotus Petal. Another Lotus Petal. A ball. Are we getting a turn 1 Kappa Cannoneer? No. A Thought Monitor. Pretty good. The crack this bauble, it incentivizes us to lightning bolt that guy. Alright, we drew a land, so I don't think we need to lightning bolt their guy unless they crack their bauble. Because that would take them off Metalcraft. Alright, no taking them off Metalcraft now. Oh no, there's Kappa Cannoneer. Alright. I think we need to find a Force of Will for this one, don't we? Let's get this. Cast a Brainstorm. Should have bolted that guy. Alright, we've got a Force of Will here. We've got some lands in our hand. I think the Seedshark. We might be putting the Seedshark. Is it Seedshark on it? This might be going under the Misdirection. So I think we're looking at a land, the Baral, and then a land. And then we'll force this. Exiling the Chrome Host Seedshark. Alright. That was something at least. I think this time we will bolt this one. We've got Baral on top of our library that we don't really want, so I'm going to crack this. Get ourselves an Underground Sea. And throw out a Ponder. The Misdirection is basically going to be used as a counter spell. Alright. This on the bottom. Then the Brainstorm. Then we'll have a Force of Will. We'll not shuffle our library. We will need to find a threat here, but we'll get to that eventually. We've got a counter spell for anything good. Do we count a Thought Cast? I don't think we counter the Thought Cast. It's an annoying situation there when your opponent's Thought Casting. And do you counter that or not? Chalice of the Void for 1. I don't care about that. I just want to stop their threats. And then we'll eventually have all these threats that don't cost 1. And we've got Kolaghan's Command in our deck. You can have a Bauble. Over to us, is it? Okay, we have a Brainstorm. Obviously a little bit annoying, but we can shuffle, we can turn that into Force of Will food. I don't think it's worth using our Force of Will just so we can make our Brainstorm work on the following turn there. Thought Monitor. This is a threat, but it draws some cards. I think we can just snuff this one out. We're trying to counterspell something big like a Kappa Cannoneer. An Emery, though. I think we will Force of Will the Emery. Let's just give some Kappa Cannoneer every turn. And there's another Emery, and we will snuff this one out. There's a bauble. I'm going to be drawing some cards here. I think our opponent is relatively far ahead here. Misty Rainforest. Okay. Is that the Misty Rainforest we knew about from previous Brainstorm, actually? Yeah, we knew about that one from the Ponder, didn't we? I think. We should have shuffled. Alright. This is another Kappa Cannoneer. Yep. Okay. We can kill this with a Snuff Out. But we have to pay 4 life. And that's obviously a resource that is going to be dwindling as time goes by. Kappa Cannoneer. We're basically dead if we don't answer this Kappa Cannoneer now. So we're going to take all the cards, as many cards out of our deck as we can that aren't Snuff Out. That's how we roll. Faerie Mastermind. I might draw us some more cards, but I'm not sure that's going to save us here. Okay, right, so there's one artifact. So we're taking 6 damage this turn. 6, 7, 8. This is lethal. We chuck this guy in to block, to keep us alive for a turn. And counterspell here, we're dead. We can at least get a trade off here, which isn't the worst. Snuff Out is no longer an out for us. What is? Our opponent bricking on artifacts. We're not going to have the mana to pay the ward 4 here. Death by Blastoise. Yep, that'll do. Alright, we have a lot of sideboard tools for this one though, so I don't feel too bad about this. So all of these ones are things I'm interested in. What do we do before? We got rid of the Misdirection. The Snuff Outs are fine. Kolaghan's Grind are great. The Lightning Bolts are great. This Chrome Host Seedshark feels bad. And then I guess we drop out a couple of Force of Wills. We could bring in 2 Plague Engineers in favour of Force of Wills to name Thopter and stop our opponent being able to make a load of side tokens. But I feel we should have that covered here. So we're going to roll it like this. We could also have Surgical Extractions actually for Emery plans, but our opponent was a Chalice deck, so they're not going to be playing the Painter. So I don't think I want that. The Painter decks, I'm more than happy to take out a combo piece. But if you take out one of the things from an 8-cast deck with a Surgical Extraction, they just have a bunch of other things that are good. So what are you really doing with your time? This hand is no good. We've got too many mana sources. We want some meltdowns and stuff. Sure. Let's keep this one. We'll bin off one of our lands, I think. And we're going to ponder and try and find ourselves a nice little meltdown. Ponder. Force of Will, I don't mind having that in my hand. I don't really want this Snuff Out. Well, actually, that's not true. I kind of want this Snuff Out. So I think put the Tarn on the bottom, then the Snuff Out, then the Force of Will. We'll not shuffle our library. So we can Force of Will something, and then we can sort of build up to a Baral and Kari Zev type situation. We've got a Lightning Bolt for Emery. We've got a Force of Will for Sai or Kappa Cannoneer. That's pretty much what we're working with here. Alright, a load of 0-drops. A Thoughtcast, sure. The hands where they just have lots of running Thoughtcasts are actually scarier for us in a lot of ways. They even turn 1 Kappa Cannoneer us. Oh, jeez. Our opponent's doing so much this turn. Leave some turns for the rest of us. So now we've got the Snuff Out. And we can decide if we want the land or not, based on what happens this turn. Obviously, not having a land means that we're closer to Meltdown. And there's a Saga. Okay, that's kind of showing us where we need to be looking. 3 mana. This is a Sai. I think we crack this for an Underground Sea. Then we let this resolve, and then we snuff it out as soon as we get priority. Right, so they get 1 Thopter for this. We will have to do something about these Urza Saga tokens, though. They're going to be large. We're going to need a Meltdown. A Thought Monitor. Yep, it's annoying. Are we lightning bolting Thought Monitor to save ourselves some damage down the line? Maybe. Don't like it, but that might be the situation we're in. Our opponent's just had... Oh my god. Yeah, our opponent's had pretty much the top end of 8 cast hands here. I think we're going to get done. They've cast 3 Thought casts already. And it's only turn 2? Yikes. So if we burn this lightning bolt on the Thought Monitor, we do risk getting eaten by an Emery. I'd much rather save it for an Emery. What have they seen here? A Polluted Delta. Okay. Okay, I think we're jamming the Baral here. We need to get something on board. If we can Meltdown with the Baral in play, that's very good for us. In an ideal world, I'd like to actually be able to cast this Archmage Charm and get some cards out of it. Or find another blue card to pitch to Force of Will on a later turn. But I don't know if our opponent's going to let us do that. Making a construct, that's fine. We can steal a construct. It won't be very big for us, though. A bauble, sure. Oh, jeez. Cap Cannoneer. We don't have a choice. We have to counterspell this. Do we want a 2-1 or do we want to cast this Lightning Bolt for free? I think we have to take a 2-1 here. Not a card that I particularly wanted. So this can chump block the construct relatively well. So I think we are attacking with our 2-4, and then we're going to chump block with our Ragavan. We can make another Ragavan instant speed using our Lightning Bolt, which can take out the Thought Monitor. But we're going to need to find one of our Meltdown effects very soon. Like, right now. Yeah. It's a little bit tough for us. If our deck had Dragon's Rage Channeler in it instead of the Shark, I think it would be a lot better. Is what I'm seeing here. Otawara being played. Okay. This Shadow Spear on that guy. Yuck. That's pretty bad for us. This goes up to 12. This blocks 1 damage. We shoot this. If this blocks here. I think we are dead here. We shoot this. We will not make a Ragavan because we need the 1 toughness here. So this goes to 11. We take 10 and 1. That puts us to 1. And then we can draw a Meltdown. And we're okay. Meltdown. Or Brotherhood's End. Oh my god. Stop cracking your baubles. Let me have a go. A Ponder. Oh jeez. Meltdown still works here. We will have a monkey there. None of these do it. We could Brainstorm into it, but I think any order and shuffle is what we need to do here. A Lightning Bolt. That is not a Meltdown. Yeah, we're done. Oh, we just didn't find our Meltdowns there. Like, if we have a Meltdown, we win that game quite easily, I think, from that point, because we've got the Baral generating us a lot of value every turn with our extra Ragavans and stuff. Yeah, I feel we're a little bit unfortunate to get a loss in that one. And we're a bit unfortunate in the Death Shadow one as well. But we did get very fortunate against Pox. So maybe it balances out. I think this is probably a 2.5 wins out of 5, realistically. But let's talk about the deck. So the first thing I want to say is this Chrome Host Seedshark card is terrible. I don't think it's a very good Magic the Gathering card. Maybe you need to leverage into it harder, but it feels ridiculously slow and ponderous. It just doesn't give you anything. You need to spend so much time and mana to get anything out of it. The only thing it really did for us was pitch to Force of Will, right? It's a bad card. Baral and Kari Zev. This card did a few things, right? It made us some 2-1s. It also got us a free spell in that one round. We managed to beat Pox with the triggers. We would probably win that game anyway, but it was a thing that happened. The fact that it makes a guy meant that they couldn't edict us out of the game, so that was pretty good too. I think this card is better than the Chrome Host Seedshark by a reasonable margin. Now, you can obviously build a more Chrome Host Seedshark-centric deck where you are making a lot of use of all the artifacts. I've seen some people post some deck lists like that. But in what we're doing here, Chrome Host Seedshark was bad. Baral wasn't great, but I think it's got a little bit more promise to it. Now, Should we be trying to do something different with Baral, like maybe playing our Ponder into Ancestral Visions? Is that something we should be doing? Because then we can just get a nice big draw 3 out of it. I think if our Chrome Host Seedshark was a Baleful Strix in our deck, we would probably also be... We would have got 3 wins this thing, if we just had better cards in our deck than this Chrome Host Seedshark. The Archmage's Charm was very good. It impressed me throughout. I think that's a very solid card. The Misdirection was bad. It didn't really do very much. We just boarded out a lot. There are definitely situations where it's okay. Like, it counters a counter spell because you redirect the counter spell to Misdirection and then it doesn't work. So I think that's fine. But I think ideally you probably want something else. Maybe this deck should be going slightly lower to the ground and you're running things like Daisies and getting some free instants off of casting a Daze. So you could Daze something after playing Baral, get a free Lightning Bolt or a Brainstorm or something. But maybe you should have a different suite of cantrips. So you have ones that are a little bit less, opportunistic. Because you don't really want to cast Brainstorm whenever. You want to cast it at specific moments. So... But then are you just playing something worse, like Thought Scour, which can help fuel your graveyard for things like Murktide, maybe? The Faerie Mastermind was great. I like it. It's kind of like a Narset with Flash is what it feels like sometimes. I don't think it's like a super duper amazing card, but I think it's a pretty solid thing for certain strategies. So I'm happy we got to do some stuff with that today. The Kolaghan's Command feels like a very strong card. We're in lots of situations where it's good. So... yeah, I think this deck has some amount of legs, but not in this form. I think once we strip out these Chrome Host Seedsharks and there's Misdirection, so let's move these Force of Wills out of the way. So once we strip out these 5 cards, we can play better cards. Now, what are those better cards? If you want to run something... So one of the reasons I wasn't running Dragon's Rage Channeler in this deck in the first place is because Baral and Kari Zev was the thing I wanted to build around. And this card doesn't... This card punishes you for playing lots of different types, right? You can still get Ragavans, but you want instants or sorceries, and you want more of the same type in your hand, so you can potentially cheat on mana and sort of get some really good stuff going. Maybe the original builds I had that were just blue-red with Pyrokinesis, so using that and then casting like a big 5 mana instant effectively for free is quite a big jump. It does cost you a second card to pitch to the Pyrokinesis, which means you've got less cards in your hand to be doing stuff with. And the things I was casting, that I was finding to cast, weren't that exciting, right? So we had things like, is it Prophetic Bolt? It's like a 5 mana instant, 4 damage or something, and Impulse. So not a great card, to be honest. I also thought you could run something like Bituminous Blast, and then get another free spell where you Cascade. So you could kind of do some weird little cascade chains. That could be kind of interesting to experiment with. But for now, I think this deck is interesting. And if somebody wants to rebuild it and send me a sort of more streamlined version after I've done a little bit of, I've sort of explored a little bit here, found some stuff that doesn't work. If you can find a way of making it a bit better, maybe we're not supposed to be black, maybe we're supposed to be a different color, like green or white, but what do we get for doing those? What are the free cards that we actually want to play? And how do we leverage them? Because Snuff Out was the obvious good free card that we could play. We never got to do the thing of snuffing out into Archmage's Charm or Kolaghan's Command, which is a bit unfortunate. It is a little bit to ask for Baral to stick around and play for too long as a 3-drop and still have cards in hand and be relevant. So maybe the more sorcery-based one that draws cards is good, but then if we're casting sorceries, we're not casting the turn we cast the Baral, which means we're not necessarily getting the value straight away. So it's a bit of a balancing act that I think is quite difficult, but can probably be done. Being a 3-mana spell, it doesn't really lend itself well to playing a Wasteland type shell either, which is a bit disappointing. So that's not a thing you really get to do either. If we were to go green, we could cast Ponder into Crashing Footfalls, for example. So we could make the deck a little bit different with... so make it like the Crashing Footfalls deck, but with some other stuff going on. Once upon a time there was a bug deck that was pretty good that used the Shardless Agent as a card to cascade into good stuff, and you would set up the top of your deck using Brainstorm and things. So you would put Ancestral Vision on top of your deck, cascade into it, draw yourself 3 more cards, and just kind of snowball the game that way. So maybe we could do something similar and have like Baral and Shardless Agent as our 3 drops, and then we're using them to cascade into, effectively cascade into something a bit more exciting. I don't think you necessarily have to have a deck that's got no like lower cost stuff, but maybe that's a way that we can explore this deck. If anyone's got any ideas, I'd love to hear in the comments, so please shoot me a comment on that one. But I think I haven't really got much else to say. Like, we lost against Reanimator and I said we didn't have enough Graveyard Hate when we started the league, and we got punished for it. We didn't need these Hydroblast. If these were ley lines or something, we'd have been a lot better shape. But you don't know what you're going to play. Although in leagues these days, you're pretty likely to play Reanimator. It's one of the most played decks in leagues right now. All right. So I think we're done here. If you'd like to support me financially, why not join my Patreon for just a couple of quid a month? You can sort of send a little bit of money my way and say, thank you for making all these videos. Obviously, you don't have to, but it's just if you're able to and you like to, then I'm very appreciative. Or you can become a member of the YouTube channel, or even better, contact me via the Discord link below and send me a donation deck. I'm currently doing donation decks for £15, which is, you know, pretty good value considering a lot of other people charge a bit more at the moment. I've got a few slots left this month, but not that many, so get in touch if you'd like one. And obviously like, comment, subscribe, and share my stuff. That really helps. Okay, I think we are done here, so thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.